Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mel. I'm Mel, the host of this channel. And lately I've been thinking a lot about the announcement of Kaiju number 8's adaptation. As you can see, I've collected some of the manga so far. There are about 7 volumes that have been published to date, translated in English, but you can find every single chapter on Kaiju number 8 on the Manga Plus app. It's completely free to read all of the chapters. I suggest you could check it out because it is definitely one of my favorite manga so far that I've been reading between last year and this year. But going back to why I've been thinking about this, the announcement of the anime adaptation had me so excited until I saw the promotional content for how the characters are going to look. I feel a little bit confused, shattered, conflicted because I'm really excited for this anime, but at the same time, the artwork and the art style doesn't match the manga at all. And some of the most attractive parts about Kaiju number 8 is that the art style is just so edgy. And in thinking about this, it had me thinking about other manga that were fantastic, but their anime adaptations proved to be highly disappointed. Today we're actually going to talk about a few different anime series that was adapted that didn't quite live up to the manga, or maybe it did, but maybe reading the manga is probably a little bit better than watching the anime. And for my anime-only viewers out there, I want to float some caution. There may be some spoilers in this video as I talk about some differences between the manga and some of the shows that I'm going to address. As I mentioned in the intro, Kaiju number 8 is a prime example in which you may want to defer to the manga instead of the anime. And while we don't have an anime adaptation yet, we'll be looking forward to that in 2024, I already feel very skeptical about it just due to the character art design. Some of my favorite characters whose designs were revealed are not as edgy and I guess like physically cutting in the anime promo photos and images as it is in the manga. There are notably some huge differences between Shinomiya and Kafka, who are some really instrumental characters in the series. And honestly, Shinomiya is one of my favorite characters. I wouldn't say favorite characters thus far, but some of her story arc is just so amazing to watch, and some of her fight scenes, that seeing the stark contrast between both of their character designs leaves me very underwhelmed for what the series has coming to in 2024. Along with Kaiju number 8 and completed already, Promised Neverland. I may have talked about Promised Neverland before on my channel, so we're going to talk about it in a different sense here. But Promised Neverland's anime adaptation is quite possibly, for me, historically, the most disappointing, underwhelming bullshit I have ever seen. While the first season of Promised Neverland is, I want to say, almost perfectly adapted like the manga, as we roll into season 2 is actually nothing like the manga. They mix up the different arcs, they cut out arcs completely, and the ending is kind of like a little hogwash. Like, it's more hogwash than the actual ending of the Promised Neverland, which wasn't great in itself, but the anime made it 100 times worse. I read the manga first, and when I started watching season 2 while reading the manga at the same time, I already noticed a stark contrast between how season 2 starts. And season 2 is supposed to start off with like a lead-up arc. They discover this whole bunker, and from this bunker they roll into a most famously known arc for the Promised Neverland, which is called the Goldie Pond arc. The Goldie Pond arc is known to be the most gruesome, also information-riddled arc in Promised Neverland. I have never felt so scared while reading a manga for these children's lives until this arc. And granted, you are always kind of scared for Emma and the rest's lives as we go on, but within Goldie Pond, it's kind of like a lot of brutal, and it is the most well-crafted arc in that whole story. And the anime just cut it out completely, which deprived people of some of the magic that Promised Neverland offered. In many fans' minds, season 2 doesn't exist. So if that's you, forget we ever talked about this. But I urge you and anyone else who's ever watched Promised Neverland to read the manga, because it is, up until the end, a work of art. Other anime on this list that were either poorly adapted or completely diverged from the source is Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul season 1 was really good. It is what totally hooked me in the beginning. And as the series went on, and I was co-watching this with some other friends, we noticed what felt like some gaps in the story. Up until this point, we hadn't read the manga yet, but you could get some sort of feeling like, am I missing something? That was kind of the thought that was always persistent when we transition into season 2, and season 2 halfway point, things start to get a little muddy. I was starting to get very confused as to where we were going with the storyline, and by the time we hit season 3, things have diverged so greatly, you have absolutely no clue if you're watching the same story. One of the biggest things that they changed within Tokyo Ghoul is that Kaneki has a friend named Hide. And Hide, well, the way his story goes in the anime does not go the same in the manga. And he seems to have a little bit of presence in the manga, but we're not entirely sure who that person is. But it's come to be revealed at the end of the story what he's been doing and what he's been up to all this time. Whereas in the anime, Hide kind of is believed to be dead, and the way that they show it wasn't even depicted in any sense in the manga. In the manga, they kind of left it a lot more unknown to leave it up to readers to kind of create their own conclusions. But here they're like, oh, we killed him. So when he appears again at the end of the series, everyone's like, wait, what the f? I thought he was dead. And there was no really like any foreshadowing or inkling to give anyone an impression that he would be back. In addition to that, even if there was no foreshadowing, they gave us the strongest impression that this motherfucker was just dead. So we didn't really understand the connect when he came back, and we didn't really understand why it was constructed this way story-wise. The manga does a better job in doing that by leaving it more ambiguous and unknown, so that when he does return at some point in the storyline, it's not as befuddling or confusing. Also, I want to say that even though the anime is kind of gruesome, it's not as gruesome in the anime as it is in the manga. The manga definitely depicts a lot more gore, and some of the scenes, pivotal scenes in which we see in the anime, fight scenes and stuff like that, are definitely notch higher than what we can grasp and understand. To add to the confusion, there are a lot of different story arcs that were either reordered or completely cut out, adding more confusion to viewers. So Akame ga Kill is another good example of an anime that kind of like went off the rails at the end. However, the adaptation is not so skewed at the fault of directors or producers. It was more like, oh, hey, the manga is not done yet, but we need to kind of wrap up the series. What should we do? So they created an original ending. And the original ending left me, and perhaps others, very dissatisfied and kind of distraught and upset. The series itself is quite good. I've enjoyed it, but coming to the ending is where things kind of fall flat, or expectations fell for me, because they basically just killed everyone. There was no redeeming end. I felt like I watched all of this for nothing. And no, it wasn't for nothing. They had some of their goals accomplished, kinda. But at this point, like, everyone was dead. And I was like, what did I invest my time in this for? I don't feel like this was worth it. However, according to the manga though, everyone being dead at the end was not like the manga's ending. And again, no blame to the directors and the producers and the creators and the adapters for this anime. But by the time the manga was done and it was completely different, I think this was something that satisfied viewers a lot more. So do yourself a favor. If you're watching any of these shows on this list, go find the manga and read it. You'll probably enjoy the manga a lot more, maybe just due to art style, due to the fact that a lot was cut out of the anime. However, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for joining as always. I will catch you guys next time. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment if you like this video and want to see more like this. Bye!